In this demonstration, we use the mock library in the navigation view model tests, and we use it as well in the main view model tests. We want to get rid of the classes that we have created for the tests to mock our dependencies. So let's start now with the navigation view model tests. Here I'm back in the friend storage application. Now let's open up the navigation view model tests class. As you can see, we have two test methods here, and below the test class we have defined the navigation data provider mock class. It implements the iNavigation data provider interface that defines that getAllFriends method. Now we want to get rid of this mock class by using the mock library. So let's add that library to our test project. I click right on the references and I say Manage New Get Packages. I browse and I want to search the mock library. Here we go, we have it, and I install the latest stable version. Okay, that library is installed. Now we can use it in our tests. Let's start with that should load friends test. Here we create the navigation view model, and we use our navigation data provider mock class. Now instead of using that mock class, let's use the mock library. So I create here a variable that I call navigation data provider mock. Okay, and I create a new mock object of type iNavigation data provider. Okay, and I need a using for the mock namespace. So let's add that using. Alright, let's hide the Solution Explorer here that we can see it all. Now on that navigation data provider mock instance, I want to set up the getAllFriends method. So I call the setup method here, and in the setup method I have my data provider and I want to set up this getAllFriends method. I call the returns method here to define the return value of that method. I just write here a new list of lookup items. Okay. And now I scroll down to the navigation data provider mock class where I have defined these lookup items. I hold the Alternate and the Shift key so that I can copy these two lookup items without the yield return statements. Now I go up again where I have defined the mock and I paste the two lookup items here. And I just need to add a comma here. Okay, so now our navigation data provider mock has been set up and I can use it here for the navigation view model constructor instead of our existing mock class. So I just write navigation data provider mock dot object. As mentioned, the object property returns the type that you want to mock. In this case, an iNavigation data provider. Alright, so now we can run the tests. And it should work as before. As you can see, all the tests are green. Cool. Now we need to do this for the second test method. But for sure, I don't want to create all this code again. Instead, I want to create my navigation view model just at a single place. So let's cut that code here and let's create a constructor for our test class. And I paste that code into this constructor. In XUnit, the constructor of the test class is used as a test initialization. It is called for every single test method. Now let's store the navigation view model in a field. So I just remove here the var keyword and Visual Studio suggests me to generate the field view model. Exactly what I want. So let's do this. Okay, now I have here the navigation view model stored in a field. I rename that field because I'm one of these guys who puts an underscore in front of the field names. Okay, now let's scroll down to the second test method. And here we can just remove the creation of the view model. And we just use the view model that we have stored in the field. And now we are done. Now we can remove the Navigation Data Provider mock class that we have created in the previous module. Okay, let's see if we can still run the tests and everything compiles and is green. Perfect, it worked. Now let's continue with the main view model tests. In the previous clip, we have used the mock library in the navigation view model tests. Now let's use it in the main view model tests. As you can see, below the test class, we have that navigation view model mock class. It implements the iNavigation view model interface, which just defines a load method. In the load method, we set the load has been called property to true, so that we can check if that method has been called or not. When I scroll up to the test method, you see that the method is called should call the load method of the navigation view model. Here we create first a navigation view model mock instance. Then we create a main view model and we pass in our mock instance. On the main view model, we call the load method, and then we assert that the load has been called property of our mock instance is true. We want to ensure that the main view model's load method is calling the load method of the navigation view model. Now let's see how we can do this with the mock library. So instead of creating an instance of our class, I just create an instance of a mock object of type iNavigation view model. I need to add a using for the mock namespace. To the main view model's constructor, I just pass in the value that is in the object property, which is in this case an iNavigation view model. Okay, then we call the load method, and now we need to ensure that the load method on our navigation view model mock has been called. To do this, we just use the verify method on that mock object. This verify method takes a lambda expression where I can access the iNavigation view model. In this case, I want to verify the load method, and as you can see, one overload of the verify method takes a times instance. With that times instance, you can define the times the load method should have been called. To create a times instance, you can use the static methods of the times class. So I can use, for example, in this case, the once method that I pass in to verify that the load method has been called exactly once. Now let's go to our main view model and let's just comment out the call of the load method of the navigation view model. Let's run the tests. And you see that test method is red. Now let's put the code back in and let's run the test again. And you see the test method gets green. As we will write more test methods in this course, I right-click here and I say group by, and you see currently project is selected. I want to group by class. Now you can see we have here the main view model tests and here the navigation view model tests. I like this better. Alright, before we continue, let's refactor our main view model tests a bit. I also want to create the main view model in a constructor, as we might write more test methods in this class. So let's just cut this here. And let's create a constructor. Let's put that code into the constructor. I remove the var keyword, and Visual Studio suggests me to generate the viewModel field. Perfect. I rename it to have an underscore at the beginning. As you can see, the test method here also needs the navigation viewModel mock. So I also store that mock instance in a field. And I also rename that field to have an underscore at the beginning. Alright, cool. So we are done. As our test method is not using the navigation viewModel mock class anymore, we can get rid of this class. So let's remove it. Great. So now we have removed the manually created mock classes from the navigation viewModel tests and from the main viewModel tests. We are using now the mock library instead. Now let's wrap up what we have done in this module before we continue in the next module to implement the logic to load the friends in the friend storage application. Then you will learn about more features of the mock library. In this module, you have learned about the mock library that allows you to create mocks dynamically without implementing a class for them. On a mock, you can set up methods, you can verify method calls, and much more. So now with the knowledge about this library, we can continue to test and implement the viewModels in the friend storage application. Welcome to the module Testing and Implementing the Loading of Friends. My name is Thomas Claudius Huber, and in this module we will extend the friend storage application so that a friend is displayed in a tab when he has been clicked in the navigation view. Before we start with an overview how we want to load friends in friend storage, let's take a quick look at the module outline so that I can show you what you will learn in this module. In this module, we will add an event aggregator to the friend storage application, and we will define an open friend edit view event. You will learn how to publish the event and how to subscribe to it in your viewModels. And especially, you will learn how to test it. Beside the event aggregator and the event, we will extend the viewModels in friend storage with additional logic. For example, the friend edit viewModel needs to load a friend by ID. So it needs a data provider that it can use to get that friend. And while extending the viewModels in friend storage, we will write for sure a bunch of unit tests. Okay, so let's start now with an overview of the loading of friends in the friend storage application. When you look at the friend storage application, you see that we have loaded the friends in the navigation. But when I click on a friend, nothing happens. When the friend is clicked in the navigation, we want to display that friend in the main area in a tab. So we need to implement the logic in the viewModels to do this. So let me show you now my plan. In the friend storage application, we have the main viewModel that holds an instance of the navigation viewModel. The main viewModel will also have a collection of friend edit viewModels which represent tabs in the user interface of the friend storage application. Now when an item in the navigation viewModel is clicked, we want to use an event aggregator, and we publish an event with a friend ID to that event aggregator. The main viewModel subscribes to that event, and it will get the friend ID of the clicked friend. The main viewModel will create a new friend edit viewModel, and it will call the load method on that friend edit viewModel with the friend ID. The friend edit viewModel itself will call the load method of a friend data provider to get the friend instance by ID. So that's the full plan.